Hi, everybody. I'm David Asman. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to Eric Bowling for sitting in for me for a couple of days. Kicking off tonight, Obama's unemployed. Now, look at this chart. It's hard to get scared by a chart, but that line that has been shooting up since 2009, that line is a scary line. That represents millions of folks who've been out of work for more than 27 weeks. Now, these are folks who are close to becoming permanently unemployed. And it is the fault of President Barack Obama. Now, the president is right when he says that the government can't create jobs, but the government can prevent jobs from being created. And that's what's happening right now. Just as we are coming out of a bad recession, talk of new taxes and new regulations is scaring off a lot of businesses that were thinking of expanding. There are thousands of businesses that squeezed every expendable worker out of their operation during the recession. Now, this is the time when they are considering hiring some back to step up their operations because of the recovery. But they can't risk hiring back workers if they're facing new taxes, higher tax rates, and more regulations. So fired workers remain unemployed. And then there are the folks who've been putting off their plans to start their own business until things look better. Now, these are folks who hire workers that really become part of the family. And they stay hired for years or generations. But that first jump into creating a new business is a very high hurdle that just got a lot higher with the prospect of higher taxes and more regs. When we were coming out of recessions in the past, the president and Congress would usually try to ease up on tax and regulatory burdens to encourage private sector growth. In 1983, we were coming out of recession, arguably worse than the one we just experienced. But businesses started hiring right away because Ronald Reagan got Congress to lower tax rates and get rid of a whole bunch of meaningless regs and red tape. That led to 7 strong years of growth and millions of new jobs. Now, it was no coincidence that this was also the era when so many fine young companies like Apple and FedEx really began to take off. But right now, President Obama is doing exactly the opposite. Just when businesses need assurance that government's going to get out of the way of new growth, he's littering the business landscape with tax and regulatory landmines. Now, the health bill alone has more complex tax implications than any single piece of legislation passed in my lifetime. And new regs on banking and the environment are likely to cancel the growth plans of any small business, except maybe for lawyers and accountants. And small businesses and new businesses, business folks that can barely afford the rent, let alone an extra accountant, may well be forced to close up. Now, lawyers and accountants and bureaucrats may be the mainstay of the Obama economy, but the main ingredients of a dynamic economy are risk-taking entrepreneurs. These are the folks that do most of the hiring in this country, and right now they are not hiring because they are not growing. To create jobs and businesses, we need fertile valleys for America's entrepreneurs. In Obama's economy, that valley is becoming a toxic